Hello, my amazing listeners. How you doing today? I'm taking the next 3 episodes diving a little bit deeper into belief, believing in you again. As many of my signature coaching program is believing in you. And as I was putting this program together, trying to figure out what am I going to name it? What am I going to call it? What's the purpose of this group? And thinking about betrayal, thinking about abuse, thinking about divorce, those of you who have experiences, I know all too well what betrayal violence does to your belief. It shatters every belief that you've ever had because your reality as you knew it has been completely shattered. And so I want women to be able to have a place to go and get coached, learn tools, principles, concepts to help them rebuild that belief. And as you listeners know, there are so many things that are really hard to believe again. Believe that you can trust, believe that you're going to be okay, believe in a higher power, believe your intuition, believe your gut, believe your body, believe in love. All of that feels impossible when you've experienced this. I have loved over the years coaching women back into their belief, whatever they want to choose to believe. I am really good at seeing into brains and seeing how the human brain and these trauma parts get in the way of believing what you want to believe. Because the truth is, you get to believe whatever you want. We just have to fight our way back. And it's a fight, but it doesn't have to be a battle. And when our human brain is in the way and we can't see that, we can't see into our human brain, we can't see sometimes how these trauma parts or other parts of the self attachment parts are getting in the way of that belief when there's been so much damage done. So that's what I do is I show you how that might be getting in the way of believing something new. And I don't know about you, but honestly, my belief level before I got married wasn't all that high to begin with. So this journey has also given me an opportunity to believe in myself in a way that I have never believed before. To believe what healthy can actually look like and know that I actually get to decide what that is by my own beliefs. Now, I have marked this episode as not clean because I do swear in this episode. Not the usual ones, but I do let an F bomb out. It's going to be further into the episode around minute 20. So heads up, I am leaving it in because it actually goes along very well with the point I'm making and what I'm trying to explain. How many of you feel as if what you have experienced is just unbelievable? Like you don't even bother telling people the real story or all the details because they will look at you like you're full of shit. You're making it up. There's no way that all of that happened to you, right? How many of you have told people, family, friends, clergy, and you've been told that you're taking things too seriously, that perhaps you remember wrong or your expectations have just been too high. So that's why you're seeing things this way. But how many of you have experienced the shattering depths of betrayal from your primary attachment, the person you believed was being honest, faithful, and true, and to your disbelief, you found out otherwise. But how many of you believe your own lived experience? Do you believe yourself? How many of you have spent years trying to get other people to believe your experience? Maybe you've been trying to get his family, his parents, siblings to believe something's not right, or this is what I'm going through, or he really needs help. And you weren't believed. Or how many of you have gone to clergy and other types of support begging for them to believe that something isn't right? And because you don't have all these facts and all this proof, really all you have most of the time is this inner knowing, this lived experience in your body that honestly hard to put a language to. It's hard to explain half the time what you've experienced. But again, do you believe yourself? Do you believe your story? Living in a marriage where you are not given the full truth of your partner's behavior and perhaps not given important information when you were seriously dating and engaged, all of that you actually had a right to as a partner, as a primary attachment to know that information. All of that was not shared. And when you got even the slightest bit close to having a sense of knowing about anything, you were manipulated, lied to, gaslit. And so over and over and over, your inner belief of reality was being altered. So you live life, you create memories, maybe had children, and continue to attach to this person in which you believed was faithful and living in accordance to the same core values as you had. What you believe is your experience with this person, with life as you knew it, collapses. Now you know nothing. You feel nothing. You believe nothing and believe no one. So, how? How do you start believing again when you've been lied to over and over? Well, you start with believing your lived experience. I believe that women have intuition in a sense that is unmatched. It's innate. You can't earn it, get it somewhere, hustle for it. You already have it. And depending on how you grew up and the messages that parts of you received determines how well that intuition and that inner sense of knowing was safe to explore, or was it shut down? From the first months of marriage, I felt unsettled. My body did, at least. And it isn't until I've gone back into my journals during that time with the knowing that I have now about bodies, psychology, attachment, that I can see a lot more clearly what was really going on. Anyway, I felt unsettled early on and was trying so hard to just be happy. I felt like I was trying all the things, and yet nothing was really sustainable before that sense of unsettling would just creep right back in. And of course, at that time, I would just blame myself. One of the things that I started doing early on is rearranging. It didn't matter what it was, I'd rearrange something: furniture, drawers, countertops, pictures on the wall. But when I could just rearrange something or put it in order, then I would feel better. I'd feel settled, but it wouldn't last. That's not sustainable. The real cause of the unsettling was being hidden. There was at a time no obvious cause for that unsettling, just this felt sense that something isn't right. And what might I be doing wrong? And how can I be better? Was the message that I told myself. This kind of self betrayal naturally leads to low self esteem, low self worth, unexplained anxiety, sadness, even mood swings that just don't seem to really match who you are. At least the you thought you knew. But maybe you got that wrong too. The human body has an incredible capacity to sense and respond to emotional and psychological experiences, often long before our conscious mind can catch up. So, those who've experienced betrayal from their intimate partner, many have said over and over that their body, emotions, and inner intuition signaled something was wrong, even when they couldn't logically explain it. And I know a lot of you, when you did find out this information, when you did have a huge discovery or disclosure, there was a time when you legit had no idea. You could go, there was no sign. I completely am blindsided and just floored by this information. I did not see this coming. But what I've experienced with clients over and over is that once they start to settle into this knowing, once they start getting curious with their body again, honestly, once their body is safe from the abuser who's been creating a false reality and putting their systems in endangerment, once they start to have less of that endangerment, then they can start to connect with their bodies and have that inner sense of knowing and realize, oh, that's what that was. Oh, that's starting to make sense now. Out of survival to your primary attachment, it's common for protective parts like denial, shame, fear, and all these other complex emotions who do a great job staying out of the reality that your body has been telling you. And yes, I said protective parts. Those parts that sense the risk to your primary attachment and then find very creative and destructive ways to hold on to that attachment at all costs. And when you grew up practicing to deny your intuition and chalk it up to something that you were doing wrong or that you aren't doing enough of, well, then you can see why you didn't believe your lived experiences. You are more comfortable questioning your own reality than questioning the reality of others, and certainly questioning the reality of your primary attachment, especially if that's something that you were brought up and trained to do early on. Your accuracy of the situation is wrong, and the truth of the other is going to hold more weight than yours. That's very often the pattern that a lot of women grow up being trained to believe. This is how you have survived. And it's incredible. The body is incredible. Its job is to keep you alive and find whatever possible way to do that. Your brain and body are designed to adapt, adjust, fight like hell to survive. Your experience that you lived in your body is your truth. It's your story, yours, not your partner's, ex-partner, not your clergy's, not even God's. Your truth that your body lived through is yours. The greatest healing gift that you can give yourself is to learn what that truth is and hear your body, see your body, create safety for your body to feel what it knows, and then believe those experiences. When you give more weight to the perceived truth of others or your former primary attachment figure than your own lived experience, then you'll continue to have these deep-seated needs to hold on to that attachment, even if it's disregarding your own well-being. I talked a lot about this in that post-divorce adaptive bonding cycle. Or you attach to something else other than your inner knowing. Either way, you're not wrong, weak, bad, or messed up. You're human. This is what being a human is. You are, in fact, doing it right. So the first step to believing your lived experience is to be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and body. I know most of you listeners are divorced, but until you look at your truth, your lived experience with curiosity, to see all the information that your body has to tell you and then accept it as your truth, it will be near impossible to feel safe in your body, meaning you will constantly question your inner knowing, your intuition, your sense that something is off. Your body won't be the safe truth teller for you. And so you'll turn to self-doubt rather than self-trust. And with all that lack of self-trust, well, yeah, right, you're not going to be vulnerable. And without vulnerability, there's not a healthy connectedness, because vulnerability is courage to tell the story of who you are and what you've experienced with your whole heart. The compassion to be kind to yourself for what you have experienced. And then the connection that comes as a result of your authenticity to just be you. Next is to educate yourself. Learning about gaslighting and other abusive behaviors in communication that have been the means of keeping your system in an endangered state to hide you from the reality. Knowing what your experience has been with those tactics so that you can be aware in the future, so that you can let your body and parts of the self know that, hey, that was abuse. That wasn't your fault. You didn't choose this. Another step towards believing your lived experience is to create a timeline of your discoveries and disclosures. This is what my clients who are working on therapeutic disclosures are doing when they are in the relationship and trying to save it. The foundational piece is getting that truth and honesty. Well, those of you who are divorced haven't had that and probably won't get that. So we do this for ourselves. And creating a timeline of your disclosures and discoveries is a great place to start. This was going to help put some of those missing pieces of the puzzle together. In fact, when you think of a puzzle, I don't know about you, but when we have a puzzle that we're putting together, we dump out all the pieces on the table, and then we start organizing them by color. And then we start to gather the edges. The edges of the puzzle guide the rest of the pieces, right? Well, when you don't have the full truth and honesty from your ex, then you're left with these color clusters that with no edges to really guide you or go off of. So you've got to create the edges of the puzzle with your lived experience, with your truth, an inner sense of knowing of what happened. And the resistance here that is going to come is that you don't have the facts, you don't have the truth and facts coming to you from the external source, your partner that betrayed. Now, some of you might have certain facts, certain things that you did discover. So you start with the edges that you do have. Maybe you have a couple corners, or maybe you have a cluster of red pieces around a vacation in 2000. What are those telling you? Maybe you have a blue cluster in 2012, where what are those telling you? What do you know externally that can put some of those edge pieces together? And then what did your experience tell you? For example, I remember going to an apartment in Nashville that he had through his company, which he traveled there a lot for work. Well, one time when we went to Nashville for a getaway, I walked into that apartment and just could sense something was off. I saw some things that were out of place and out of character. The answer I got, even to questioning that, was off. And the whole weekend actually just felt really forced and not flowy. Now, how many people are going to hear me say that and think, felt off? Things in the apartment that you hardly ever went to felt out of place? And things weren't flowy, Amy? Okay, yeah, nothing. Right? Like, my brain told me so many stories to, quote, protect me from stopping to feel and trust and stop questioning and stop believing my intuition. And I had someone very good at lying and covering up and manipulating to assist in that. So I look back at that clusterfuck of a puzzle, and I am never going to get the external truth, but I'm going to take my lived experience and create some damn edges out of it. And when I let myself walk through that experience of my sense of knowing, my intuitive self, I know my truth. I have some more edges to the puzzle that my human brain has been trying to put together for years. This is what you can do to heal. And it's imperative to do because your brain is going to try and find all of the pieces of those puzzles. It's going to look for all these different clusters that might not be true. So, being in charge and being the chooser of putting this together for you as your experience will tell you right now. And next week, I'm going to add to this by diving into your body's experience. But right now, what was your lived experience? And putting that in a timeline from the year, I don't care if you take it to the year you met or were engaged or got married. What did you sense? What felt off? What did you not have maybe cognitive knowing to, but your experience told you something different? Okay, the last thing I want to talk to you about, it's also just as important to own your experiences that were good, happy, sweet, and joyful. Those experiences you also created because you showed up in your marriage. You chose to believe. You chose to think thoughts that gave you these wonderful memories that are your lived experiences as well. I totally get how betrayal, that reality collapse, takes down all the good memories with it. Everything becomes a lie. Everything becomes fake, false, confusion over what's real and what isn't. And everything becomes a lie. Everything becomes fake, false, confusion over what's real and what isn't is very much a part of this living hell. And healing is picking up the pieces of the puzzle that fell off the floor, pieces of the puzzle that you created because you were showing up in the marriage. You own it. And nothing your ex did or does can take that away. You can give it away, but it can't be taken away. This is your puzzle, and you get to own the pieces. Your ex doesn't own the pieces anymore. He can't manipulate the pieces. He can't take away the edges and hide them. Make a conscious choice to own your good, joyful, happy memories as your lived experiences as well. It's okay if grief accompanies those memories. In fact, I don't see how it wouldn't. So make space. Take time this week to maybe journal and write down your thoughts and memories. It can be a really powerful tool for that self-reflection. Try again to chronicle some of these events objectively as possible without self-blame or judgment. This can really help you start to see those patterns of inconsistencies in your experiences in your previous relationship. Doing this is going to help you trust your intuition. Trusting again outside of you, like trusting other things, other people, really isn't going to be sustainable until you trust yourself. So this exercise, this practice of believing your lived experiences and trusting your intuition to guide you through that is a huge part of your healing. Even if what you're trusting your intuition to be seems contradictory to what you have been told. If you kept journals, gathering evidence from past writings can also be really helpful to put some of these pieces together. Give yourself time. Healing is a process, it's a journey. Be patient with yourself and trust that over time, your clarity and belief in your own experiences will strengthen. Next week, I'm going to go into more of believing your body. This is for you. This is about you. This is your healing, and no one gets to say what your lived experiences are or are not. These are for you to heal, not to use against your ex. This is for you to forgive yourself and lay to rest the shame and guilt that you might have for yourself. This is for you to trust yourself again and release the protector parts that are constantly looking for betrayal in your life. This is about believing in you again because you can. Take care. There are so many things I want you to know about how you can start believing in you again, which is why I created the Believing in You coaching membership. Everyone in that group each week learns a new tool, has worksheets to help practice. They get 2 free one-on-one sessions with me every 12-week cycle. A lot of them use that for brain spotting. They get access to me on Marco Polo and a private Facebook group to help them during the week if they get stuck on some of the work that we're practicing. This is for those who are ready to take their healing to that next level, because it is next level healing. When you watch other human brains get coached and then watch your brain as you watch other human brains, you're going to see more into you. You're going to see things that you didn't know were there, thoughts and limiting beliefs and gremlins that just pop up that you become more aware of. And that is what having a growth mindset looks like. Be aware of what those limiting beliefs are that are keeping you from really believing what you want to believe about yourself. And I'm really good at watching human brain. So that's why I'm there to help you see what you can't see into your own brain. Every 12 weeks, there's availability for new applications. So if you are ready to start November 8th, there are a few spots left. Get yours today and start believing in you. See you soon.